imagine spending like $10.9 billion on this massive experimental new project.
Oh, wow.
Right? Only to realize you just have to pull the plug, swallow that massive loss, and go back to playing your greatest hits.
Yeah, that is a tough pill to swallow.
It really is. Well, welcome to Auto News Talk. We are looking at why some of the biggest automakers on earth are suddenly, slamming the brakes on the future.
Exactly.
And why the local dealership selling you that vehicle is fighting a completely invisible war for your loyalty.
Right, because the entire automotive ecosystem is undergoing this foundational stress test.
Yeah.
And we're tracking the hidden forces driving the business, from the assembly line all the way down to like the text message you get from the service bay.
It really is a massive journey. So to give you a map of the terrain we're walking through, it is defined by this incredible push and pull.
Very much so. On one side, traditional strengths are just booming. I mean, internal combustion trucks and SUVs are generating massive revenue.
Right.
But on the other side, you have these severe operational rigidities threatening the whole system.
Like what?
Well, manufacturing floors are maxed out to the breaking point. And down the chain, dealership service lanes are running on legacy technology that, frankly, alienates the modern consumer.
Yeah, the very definition of convenience is being drastically rewritten by the person buying the car.
It really is.
So let's start at the top of the food chain, right, where the vehicles are born. Because before a car can be serviced or even sold, it has to be built profitably.
That is the baseline, yeah.
And there is this extensive market report detailing how General Motors is navigating this. And they are executing a severe strategic pivot.
They are.
They are doubling down on their core traditional vehicles while executing a really heavy retreat from their future tech ambitions.
Yeah, and the numbers absolutely validate that strategy. The reporting shows GM actually raised several key financial forecasts.
Oh, really? Which ones?
Adjusted earnings per share, revenue, and adjusted automotive free cash flow. Yeah, and the report explicitly attributes the success to resilient North American demand, stable vehicle pricing, and lower warranty costs.
And obviously those relentless sales of traditional trucks and SUVs.
Exactly. But the staggering detail here is the sheer cost of their electric vehicle pullbacks.
Okay, lay it on me.
The source notes GM has taken $10.9 billion in material charges.
$10.9 billion.
Yeah, and that is directly tied to scaling back their EV ambitions.
Just to be clear for the listener, a material charge of that size means they are officially writing down the value of those EV investments on paper.
Right, they are taking the hit.
Taking this massive financial hit all at once to clear the decks and protect future quarters.
That is exactly what they are doing.
You know, it makes me think of an established rock band.
Okay, I like this.
So they spent years in the studio producing a highly experimental electronic album that is their EV lineup.
Right.
And the crowds just aren't feeling it. So instead of forcing the new sound and playing to half-empty arenas, they just pull out the acoustic guitars and play the classics.
Yeah.
GM knows their internal combustion trucks are the stadium anthems that actually pay the bills.
That analogy holds up perfectly, honestly, because the core internal combustion business remains an incredibly lucrative profit engine.
They are optimizing what works.
Exactly. But looking at the report, there is a glaring financial contradiction.
I noticed that too. We see revenue up, free cash flow up.
Right.
But GM actually lowered its net income forecast attributable to stockholders.
Yeah, which is weird, right?
Right. If the traditional business is booming and they've already written down the EV losses, why is stockholder net income the one metric taking a hit in this forecast?
Well, that is the lingering question the report kind of leaves open.
It doesn't say.
No, the exact mechanism isolating stockholder net income from that broader financial lift isn't fully detailed, so it just leaves analysts to parse the complexities of their capital allocation.
Got it.
Yeah.
So GM is optimizing their product lineup. But over at Honda, a separate piece of industry reporting reveals a completely different bottleneck.
Yeah, and it is not about what they are building.
Right. It is about where they're building it.
Exactly.
According to the source, Honda is literally bursting at the seams.
They're essentially running out of physical space.
Wow.
The report details Honda actively weighing the addition of a totally new North American assembly plant.
That is a huge move.
Oh, massive. Toshihiro Maive, their chief executive, stated their basic strategy is to build vehicles where demand exists.
Excellent.
And North America is their largest, most profitable market. So they need a buffer against supply chain and logistics disruptions.
And that vulnerability is very real. I mean, the expert analysis in the report cites global data figures, and this is wild.
Yeah.
It shows Honda's North American plants are running at an incredibly tight 90% utilization rate
Which is astronomical.
against a maximum capacity of 1.8 million vehicles.
Yeah, running a factory at 90% utilization is like redlining an engine for miles on end.
Just pushing it to the absolute limit.
Exactly. There's absolutely no flexibility. If a logistics disruption hits, say, like a parts shortage or a rail strike,
Right.
a 90% utilized plant experiences cascading failures.
Because you have no wiggle room.
Right. You cannot just speed up the line next month to make up for lost time. Because the line is already running at maximum speed. You have no operational buffer.
But here is my skepticism on Honda's proposed solution.
Okay.
The reporting notes this new plant idea is in the very early stages. No location, no timeline, no budget.
None of that.
A massive new physical assembly plant easily takes a full decade to develop, permit, build, and staff.
Oh, at least.
So if they are redlining at 90% utilization right this second, isn't a 10-year horizon way too slow to solve a capacity crisis?
Well, yeah, a 10-year plan absolutely fails to fix a supply chain bottleneck happening tomorrow. It highlights the immense physical friction of the automotive business. I mean, you cannot download a new factory.
You really can't.
Yeah.
Which brings us to the retail side.
Okay.
Honda is pumping out almost 2 million cars in North America. GM is leading heavily into their high-margin trucks. But who actually moves that metal off the lot?
Good question.
The demographic of the American consumer is shifting rapidly, which means the demographic of dealership ownership has to adapt with it.
And we have an incredibly insightful report focused on that. It's about the National Association of Minority Automobile Dealers, or NAMAD.
Right.
And their central argument shifts the conversation entirely. They argue that minority ownership of dealerships is no longer just some diversity and inclusion initiative.
Okay, what is it then?
It is a critical, bottom-line business imperative.
And the data they bring to support that is undeniable.
Totally.
The report cites S&P Global Mobility data showing minority consumers purchase a full third of all new vehicles.
A third.
1 in 3 buyers.
Yeah, Perry Watson IV, the president of NAMAD, makes the case that minority dealers possess much deeper access to these emerging communities.
That makes total sense.
Right. They build trust in markets that legacy retail approaches completely miss.
So how are they getting more people into ownership?
Well, to facilitate this, NAMAD actually created the Dealer Ownership Academy.
Okay.
It trains high-performing employees in things like fixed operations and cash management.
Important skills.
Definitely. They also use their Miami Beach conference as this massive deal-making hub to connect aspiring dealers with automakers and banks.
Right, because getting the operational training is crucial, but getting the capital is the real mountain.
It is the biggest hurdle by far.
The barrier to entry in automotive retail is just astronomical. I always explain dealership acquisitions like buying a professional sports franchise.
Oh, I like that analogy.
When you buy a team, you aren't just paying for the physical stadium and the locker rooms.
No, of course not.
You pay a massive intangible premium for the legacy, the brand, and the exclusive right to play in the league.
Right.
In automotive retail, that premium is called blue sky or goodwill. And that blue sky premium completely locks out new players who don't already possess generational wealth.
Exactly. And Watson explicitly points to those rising dealership values and buy-sell costs as the biggest hurdle.
Yeah.
Commercial lending for dealerships requires a massive equity injection from the buyer. So to counter this, NAMAD is working on structuring a specific capital fund to help first-generation candidates bridge that gap.
But how do you actually build a financial instrument robust enough to overcome tens of millions of dollars in blue sky costs per single acquisition?
It sounds nearly impossible.
Right. That structural mechanic seems incredibly difficult to scale across a national network of aspiring owners.
And honestly, the report leaves the exact mechanical structure of that proposed fund unanswered.
It doesn't really explain how the math works.
No, it doesn't. Building a private equity vehicle that size, specifically tailored for high-risk, first-generation buyers, is a monumental task.
It really is. But let's say they solve it.
Okay, let's say they do.
These dynamic new dealers get the keys, and they successfully sell vehicles to a diverse consumer base.
Great.
How do they keep the lights on long term? Because the profit center of any dealership is fixed operations, the service department.
Right, that's where the real money is.
But We have a source detailing a silent, invisible threat eroding that very foundation.
This is perhaps the most insidious challenge in the whole ecosystem.
Yeah.
An in-depth analysis introduces the concept of silent churn in dealership service departments.
Silent churn.
Yeah, dealerships are bleeding service customers who never complain, never leave a scathing review, and simply smile on their way out.
And then what?
They never return.
Ever.
Ever. Kimberly M. Cowan, the president of Sliden, is quoted calling these people vanishing customers.
Vanishing customers.
Yes. They just stop responding to reminder texts and defect to a quick lube spot down the street without giving the dealership any warning signs whatsoever.
Wow. You know, the article stresses a crucial distinction that really requires a paradigm shift for management.
What's that?
Customer satisfaction does not equal customer retention.
Oh, that is such a huge point.
A service visit can be perfectly adequate. The customer is technically satisfied, but if the overall process is a headache, they will not retain.
Right. They leave over minor cumulative inconveniences.
Exactly. Think about your last oil change. Did you try to book online, realize the pricing was hidden, call the store, get put on hold, and eventually just have to leave a voicemail?
Yeah. More times than I can count.
Right. And the report lists these exact frictions. Hard to find pricing, limited visibility into appointment times, and processes that basically force the consumer to pick up the phone.
And Cowan argues consumers no longer compare a dealership to the independent shop the next town over.
Who are they comparing them to?
They compare the service lane to the experience of booking a flight, tracking an Amazon package, or ordering an Uber.
Oh, interesting.
Loyalty is tied entirely to digital convenience.
But I am curious about the quantifiable volume of this problem.
How do you?
Do we know the actual financial weight of this silent churn compared to traditional vocal defection? Like where someone actually yells at a service advisor and storms out?
Oh, I see.
The source highlights the behavior, but the exact percentage of total service revenue lost to this invisible leak feels pretty undefined.
That's true. The exact financial percentage isn't mapped out, but the behavioral shift is undeniable.
It really makes me wonder if dealerships are bringing a knife to a gunfight.
Right.
If a store relies on an overwhelmed service advisor leaving voicemails, while the independent shop offers a 2-click digital booking app with transparent pricing.
The dealership has already lagged the war.
Exactly.
Which leads us to the solution.
Okay, lay it on me.
You cannot just command staff to make more calls or try harder. The final piece of our puzzle suggests dealerships need an entirely new central nervous system to survive.
Enter the AI command center.
Yes.
We have a commentary piece from Tasso Rumiliotis. He's the CEO of NUMA, and he makes a fascinating argument about the future of dealership software.
His central insight is that dealerships must transition from legacy software that merely records data to artificial intelligence platforms that take independent action to save the customer relationship in real time.
He draws a hard line between traditional dealer management systems, the DMS, and these new AI workflows.
He does.
The DMS, he says, is just a system of record. It basically just stores the transaction.
Exactly. But the AI workflow acts as an active operational layer sitting right on top of that system.
Okay, give me an example.
The article outlines a highly relatable scenario. An advisor is busy with a line of people, right?
Happens every morning.
A customer calls, it goes to voicemail, so the frustrated customer sends a text. Then a completely different employee answers the text without any context.
Classic miscommunication.
Exactly. The AI's job is to sit above all of this. It detects the missed call, flags the overdue update, connects the inbound text to the specific repair order, and prompts the exact right employee to act immediately.
It really is the difference between a filing cabinet and a proactive executive assistant.
Oh, I love that comparison.
The DMS is the filing cabinet. It holds all the critical legally required documents, the payroll, the inventory.
Right.
But a filing cabinet just sits there waiting for someone to open it.
Yeah, it doesn't do anything on its own.
Exactly. An AI workflow is the executive assistant who taps you on the shoulder and says, "Excuse me, you need to call this specific customer, and here is a plain language translation of the technician's highly complex diagnostic notes so you can explain exactly what is wrong with their transmission."
That proactive nature completely changes how a business handles the Customer Satisfaction Index, or CSI. Well, Rumiliotis pushes for live customer experience management. Normally, CSI is a post-game autopsy. A dealer waits for a scorecard to arrive weeks later and tries to figure out what went wrong.
And by then, the customer is gone.
Exactly. The AI intervenes while the car is still in the lift.
But I look at the practical hurdles of this. You are asking an entire workforce, some of whom are, 20-year veterans of the service tribe, to completely change how they operate.
It is a massive shift.
Adding a massive AI layer on top of legacy software involves tremendous cost and severe integration friction.
And frankly, the commentary piece glosses over the sheer organizational friction of implementation.
It does.
Yeah, merging cutting-edge AI with decades-old automotive software architecture is a monumental IT undertaking. It's not just plug and play.
So bringing all these elements together, from the factory floor to the service bay text message, a few massive themes really start to connect these sources.
Yeah, when you step back, a clear pattern of relentless optimization emerges. We see GM retreating from EV experiments to optimize the massive profits of their traditional trucks.
Right.
And we see Honda realizing they need a completely new physical plant to optimize production because they are basically maxed out.
And it is all being driven by the empowered consumer. They hold all the cards.
Oh, absolutely.
NUMA points out minority buyers make up a third of the market, demanding representation in retail ownership.
Right.
And the silent churn phenomenon proves consumers will ruthlessly abandon a business that fails to meet their baseline expectations for digital convenience.
Which forces the third piece of this: massive infrastructure upgrades.
Yes.
Surviving in this ecosystem requires dual upgrades. Honda demonstrates the need for physical, concrete, and steel upgrades, while the AI workflow commentary proves the desperate need for digital upgrades at the retail level.
But looking at GM and the AI piece side by side reveals a massive contradiction in the timeline of innovation.
What do you mean?
You have automakers acting incredibly conservative, right? Pulling back from future tech to protect their core profits. But down at the local dealership, they are forced to act radically, sprinting toward future tech like AI command centers just to protect their customers from defecting. The factory plays it safe while the dealership takes the risk.
Wow, that is a really fascinating way to look at it. We also see a deep tension in how the industry defines success with the consumer.
Right.
The piece on AI workflows focuses heavily on managing and optimizing those CSI scores.
Yeah.
But the source covering silent churn explicitly warns that a customer can give a perfectly fine satisfaction score and still vanish.
Exactly.
It is the fundamental difference between managing a metric and managing an actual human relationship.
That is so true. So what does this all mean for you, the listener, the next time you interact with the automotive world?
Yeah, what's the big takeaway?
To me, the ultimate takeaway is that loyalty is no longer earned by the shiny badge on the hood of the car. Loyalty is earned by the ruthless elimination of friction.
I completely agree.
Whether that is Honda spending billions to build a buffer against supply chain friction,
Right.
or a service manager utilizing an AI platform to text a customer back before they silently defect to a quick lube. Friction is the enemy.
It really is. Because if a business allows friction to exist in the process, the modern consumer will simply flow around them like water to find the path of least resistance.
That is it for this segment of Auto News Talk. The auto industry is a multi-billion-dollar machine, but it only moves forward if every single piece is perfectly in sync.
So true.
Next time you take your vehicle in for service, take a look around the drive. Ask yourself, are you dealing with a business running on a filing cabinet or an executive assistant?
Great question to ask.
And keep this question in mind. If the industry successfully automates every single touch point, do we risk losing the human element that made the local dealership a cornerstone of the community in the first place? Thanks for joining us on Auto News Talk.